Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WGLNA Season 2 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left is David Williams. Make sure, guys, to check us out on Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA. And as always, follow us on Twitter @WGLNA so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the community around you.
You can also check out battleviewer.com if you somehow have not yet already.
Do it.
Or give it another chance if you didn't.
Yeah.
Same match standings, listings, Twitch chat you know and love, plus match standings, match listings, easy access to our YouTube and Twitter. And now that the regular season has begun, fantasy as well.
That is right, guys. Now, before we get into fantasy, let's talk about the quick breakdown of the format. We are running the 768 for this season on a team. 7 players with up to 68 points allotted for tank choice. And you guys, there are a tier 10 maximum with a tier 8 minimum. The mode we're running is attack and defense, each team having equal opportunities on both sides. If at the end of 8 battles they are all tied up, it'll go into a third match, the tiebreaker match, to decide the victor. Speaking on maps, David, let's go over those.
We have some old and some new, bringing back Himmelsdorf, Ruinberg, Steps, Mines, and Ghost Town. We've also added in Mrovanka, Prorovka, Cliff, and Sand River, and Lakeville. It's gone.
Lakeville is out. And we actually have now seen all the maps so far this season, so there are no new surprises for you guys. Before we get into tonight's matches, let's take a look at what happened on Thursday for you guys. Up first, we had Simp losing to High Voltage 5-2, followed by Ping999 losing to Yo 0-5. Third, Noble beating Eclipse 5-1. Finally, WGLNA losing to Call Wanted 3-5. We also had a fifth match that was offline, not broadcasted. 07 beating Googly 5-1. David, let's go through these each kind of one at a time. Up first, Simp versus High Voltage. Started out in Himmelsdorf, where Simp only picked up 1 against High Voltage, I believe. And High Voltage did a fantastic job. They fought them in the southeast corner. Then we went on to Ghost Town, where High Voltage picked up the kind of remaining victories there, bringing those T22s. Some of the highlights you saw from that first match.
Simp's flank on High Voltage on Himmelsdorf was pretty excellent. Himmelsdorf, they kind of stagnated there in the southeast, High Voltage did. And Simp brought 250Bs in from the side and absolutely laid waste to them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But other than that, High Voltage had them largely outclassed and out-strategized. The E3 positions for High Voltage on Ghost Town were incredible. And
so
a lot
good.
of the plays that were made with Ox Mathis and wall hacks in that situation, Wally coming in to save him. It's just a great set overall, and I do have to give a shout-out. After rewatching a lot of those, Wally had a lot of big savior moments in that set.
Well, we definitely have them in the highlight reel for you guys coming up, but not quite yet, because up next was Ping versus Yo. Yo clean sweeping Ping 5-0. Started on Ruinberg. They picked up their 4-0, went to Prorovka. They dominated them instantly. And I looked back, Yo on average had at least 4 members of their team, sometimes even 6, after they beat Ping. Some of the things you saw from that second match.
Ping definitely struggling without their caller.
Yes.
And Yo now out of the gauntlet they had to face of High Voltage and Noble to start out.
The top 2
I
teams.
think they probably felt a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident going into this match, and it definitely showed by the end.
Absolutely. Now, third, we had Noble versus Eclipse. Noble beating them 5-1. Started out in Himmelsdorf. Noble won 3. Himmelsdorf, yeah, I was right. Noble won 3. Then Eclipse picked up 1 on defense. Then we went into Sand River, which was crazy because Noble started on offense, and they picked up a victory there, which you thought was such a defensive map. Then they picked up their final 1 on defense. Some of the things you saw from that third.
Really, Eclipse put up a lot better of a fight than the score would reflect. 5-1 seems like kind of a beatdown, but overall, a lot of those matches were a lot closer, I felt.
Sure.
Eclipse doing a great job, especially for a new team in the league, hanging against a team that is probably the #1 team in the league right now with how they're performing. And I think Noble did what Noble does best, and they faced a pretty good opponent. And Eclipse will probably do well against a lot of other teams in the league as the season progresses.
I mean, Comp said they wanted to keep 5-1ing, 5-2ing all the newer teams, and they are doing that so far. Finally, we had WGLNA losing to Call Wanted 5-3. They started out on Ghost Town, where Call Wanted showed absolute dominance over Ding. I mean, taking it 3-1, but sometimes having all 7 of the members up at the end. Then went on to Ruinberg, where it just went back and forth, but since Call Wanted was up, they took the victory. Some of the things you saw from that final match.
One of the things that stands out, well, I'd say there's 2. WGLNA played better than they have for a long time. I think we're kind of starting to see their particular style take shape and actually have a kind of an effect on the battle in the long run. For Caller Wanted, Denial was pretty much the all-star throughout the entire set, with Delph largely sitting. I think he had some sort of ping issues or something like that, so he was taken out, unfortunately, for all of our fantasy teams. And
Rip.
Denial just had a free reign to absolutely destroy people, but I don't think that he's going to be playing for the rest of the season, unfortunately.
That is right. There have been some roster changes and also some other bands coming out that we will get you guys up to date on. Finally, we had the 5th match, 07 versus Googly again. 07 beating Googly 5-1. We didn't broadcast that, so we don't know really what happened, but we will be interviewing interviewing those teams today. Hopefully ask them maybe to give us their personal highlights to see if they have anything to say for that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we take a look at what we've got tonight, let's take a quick look at fantasy. Remind you guys what to do. Go over to fantasywgl.com, or if you're on battleViewer.com, where you should be right now, go over there and check it out. At the bottom right-hand corner, you guys build your 7 teams. You guys see at the bottom, those are David and I's picks for tonight. Teams will, the players will accumulate points for you guys. Points lead to tons of prizes, such as in-game premium time, in-game gold, and in-game premium tanks like the Hype 59 you can't get anywhere else, so go over there and check it out. Also, before we keep going, a quick reminder, we are partnering with Vulcan. Go to vulcan.com, use the code word World of Tanks for their own WGLNA competition for a chance to win even more prizes. So again, Vulcan.com, and check that out. Now, back to fantasy. David, some of your top picks. Again, there's roster changes, a lot of things happen. We kind of re-switch our picks right before the show.
Well, some real big pointers is don't pick anybody from Noble or High Voltage until
they're
2016.
Gone. They're gone until next year.
WCA representing North America. Hopefully they do quite well.
Wish them luck, guys.
Those tournaments can be real rough, so they'll probably need it just to get through the day. But I think they have everything they need to pull it home and take at least top 3 finish each of them.
Sure, that'd be great.
But for today's picks, so the number 1 pick for me this time around, I'd probably have to say would be Pride. Who would you have to go with?
I picked Mufasa. I think he has over 900 points right now so far for Ping. He's doing a fantastic job. I'm not quite sure how long that match is going to go between those 2 teams, but he's definitely my point leader right now. Ox is out, so that's why normally it's always Ox for both of us. Now that he's gone, not quite sure. But as far you said Papa? No. Pride.
Yeah, I've also picked Papa Dijon from Ding. He is the point leader for Ding NA.
Killing it.
I've also T1 Diabetic from Eclipse. I expect the Eclipse and Simple Tankers game to go somewhat long. So I got 2 from Simple Tankers and 1 from Eclipse in that instance. The 2 from Simple Tankers are pretty obvious. That's Executus and Pride. Googly Bobbers is kind of a weird team to gamble on.
Yeah.
I decided to go with Zombie Food there as he is one of the starters. But there's been some changes in their roster. They could start playing a lot better, so that set could go long as well between them and Ding NA. And other than that, Delth from Call Wanted, I'm gambling on him actually playing the whole set this time because he's the point leader when he's around.
Sure. All right, well, let us know, guys, your picks and your favorite things at WGLNA on Twitter so you guys can stay up to date and kind of your own personal bragging rights. But to know that, you have to know what's happening tonight. So let's take a look at the matchups for you guys. We got 4 of them. Up first, it's going to be Caller Wanted versus Ping999, followed by Aquatic M60s versus 07. Third, Ding NA versus Googly Bobbers. And to close the night out, Simple Tankers versus Eclipse. David, out of the 4 matches that we have tonight, which one are you most looking forward to, and who do you think's going to take it?
Simple Tankers versus Eclipse.
Yep.
And I think Simple Tankers will take it in the long run, but
Okay.
I think Eclipse will give them a run for their money.
All right, that's got to be my highlight, too. I like you, have 2 members on Simple Tankers, 1 on Eclipse. I do think it's going to go a long ways. It'll be interesting to see. Eclipse in their past games have really done a great job learning either from their mistakes that they did in the first time. On Roomberg, we saw them not quite do a strategy well, come back and do it amazingly to finish it out. So it'll be exciting to see if they can pull those same sort of tactics onto Simple Tankers, or like you said, a team who is such a good team in the game, Simple Tankers, will just take it at the end. Again, we only have 4 matches for you guys tonight. We will have 5 on Thursday, but that's later. This is right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this pre-show. That is going to do it. Match number 1 is coming up right after this.
Reload, then I'll fix it and get my max reload. But you're playing with fire, and you could be risking it.
Whoa,
There
Taco
we
Soldier getting lit up right there by almost every member of Yo.
In the meantime, Simp is going to come in flank with the 2 AMX 50Bs. Blue Boys is waiting for it, and Ant is there to somewhat support him, but Blue Boys will be at risk when all these guys show up, and this could start tilting very, very hard back into Simp's hands momentarily.
Now, this is not an area on the map that we see a lot of fights going on. It looks like it's going to be Blue Boys Captain David, like you said, getting lit up, 2,500 points of damage. He gets taken out almost immediately. Overload Prime finding that kill. Beautiful focus fire for Simp.
time. Actually, Crimson Corsair probably can as well. But
He's
Master
set on
Pupil's trying to
fire!
stop out of sight right now. 15 seconds left on cap. Crimson Corsair is driving into death at worst. Death and a reset at best. It's all on his shoulders again. And Eclipse has made a brilliant play to try and bring this home.
It does not matter what is happening over on the north. What only matters right now is if Crimson can get this reset. He gets annihilated before he can even get a shot up, and that looks like it's going to be it, as Adroxus is not going to have enough time. The cap is at 0. Eclipse has the victory. Super healthy up on top. Oxteam is in trouble there. He's bouncing a lot of shots right there, giving time for wall hacks to come up and join the fight. First shot there going to Adroxus, and now we got a little bit of spread out of sight. It's Andrine. It's all facing off against some of his high voltage over the south, the rest in the north there. Oxteam looks like he's going to be going down. One more shot. Anthief going through. David, what are you seeing?
He's going hull down on the backside of wall hacks ST1. That is just incredible. Ox is getting so much support.
Around the fallen tanks. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a very tight battle. This might be Yo's opportunity to pick up a victory onto high voltage. Will high voltage give it to him? Blue Boys captain onto Fulcros. That shot just now missing, and 318 goes into Blue Boys. Blue Boys is loaded. 358 going into him. A high roll here from Fulcros. Might be able to know. 323. Now it's going to be back and forth. It looks like Blue Boys captain might be able to take this one. No, the shot bounces, or he just missed it into the side, but Blue Boys bounces as well. A crazy battle here going back and forth, and Fulcros taking down Blue Boys. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Season 2 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left, David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA. If you guys are watching this on battleviewer.com, go over there right now and check it out. And finally, follow us on Twitter @WGLNA so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the community around you and also answer the question of the day.
Which is, what was your first tier 10 tank?
Okay, so technically, I'd never got to a tier 10 tank on my main account, and then I was just given all of them at once. So all of them were my first one, but I was on track.
On a press account, so you still don't really have one
So
on your main
I
account.
personally do not have a tier 10 on my main account. So that's my answer. So if you're with me out there, holla back. Holla. David, your
You were
first
on
tier
track
10.
to the E5.
Yeah.
Mine was the i7. Talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah,
but
the
it
feels.
always holds a special place in my heart. As there were only 3 tier 10 heavies back then. Actually, only heavies were tier 10s. There were only 3 tier 10s
Okay.
when I got that.
Well, that makes sense why that'd be an important one. Again, let us know, guys, your answer @WGLNA. Tweet that us so we can kind of show those intimate moments together. Before we get into tonight's matchups, let's take a look at the standings now going into the third week. Up first, we still have Noble and High Voltage so close together. Noble is at first, 12 points. High Voltage with 11. There's a pretty good gap between Yo 07. You got Simple, Aquatic, Simp, Caller, all of them tied for 3, as well with Ping. And Eclipse, Googly Bobbers down at the bottom. We kind of, David, talked about that, how, right now we are not going to be having until the new year, so 2 weeks, or three match days where Noble and High Voltage will not be playing.
Yes. So, in fact, there are a number of teams that haven't played as many games as High Voltage or Noble, who are both at F4, I believe.
Okay.
The 2 teams that could potentially take first in this period of time, in these 3 matches where these 2 teams are gone, are 07 and Simple Tankers.
Woo!
Both have only played 2 games, and if either of them wins all of their games, they will take first from Noble and High Voltage before they get
insane.
back. But here's the kicker. Is the last game, the 3rd game for both those teams,
Are they against each other?
they face each other.
Oh,
so
what a
whoever wins
fantastic!
in a head-to-head, assuming they can win the rest.
Right.
We'll take first.
So
at
this
least until they go later in the season, but we'll see.
This week is going to be very fun to watch, guys, indeed, to lead up to that. But before we even get to that, we have to have Caller Wanted versus Ping, which is the first match of the night. On the side of Caller Wanted, we've got Blue. On the side of Ping, we've got Shimbo. Gentlemen, welcome to the face-off. And Caller, Blue, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Now, you guys picked up your first victory against WGLNA last week. Congratulations on that. The question is, what do you guys think led to that victory? What were some of the things you guys got to put together, learning just the couple weeks that we've had so far in the season?
It was really just getting used to the format as a team. Most of us are pretty new to the Gold League and to the WGLNA format as a whole. So it's just really adjusting to it. And we did make a few roster changes before and a few player changes. So I think that really did help improve the environment for the matches.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are showing a fantastic sort of cohesion now, even this quickly into the league. So hopefully you guys can carry that on. And again, congratulations for that victory.
Thank you.
All right. What was your first tier 10 tank?
My first tier tank was the E5 back when Clan Wars was in Europe.
All right.
Wow. That's pretty far back on its own.
That's the one I'm going for. I'm not there yet, so don't spoil it for me.
It's a good tank.
But I'm
Spoil it.
But I'm good there.
All right.
Shimbo, now over to you, sir. Just a question
Hello.
for you was, what was your first tier 10 tank?
My first E100.
E100.
D100.
That's a pretty beastly first tank.
So it's
honestly.
just kind of bully everyone around.
Yep.
Well, Jimbo, sounds like a fantastic tank to pick. You did a fantastic job there, sir.
Thank you.
Now, before we get into the battle, Shimbo, is there anything you'd like to say to Blue before we get started?
Good luck and have fun.
All right, Blue, your response.
Good luck, and hopefully we can tie up the series 2-2 after the qualifier run.
Well, there we go, gentlemen. Best of luck to both of you, and we'll see you guys shortly. That would be interesting. They can tie it up and see if they have their opportunity right now to do so.
Ping did take first overall in the qualifiers.
So this would be a nice time for them to kind of either come back and after playing those 3 matches in a row that they played, finally at the end, Ping was able to take that one, take the victory. So this might be Caller Wanted's chance to be like, hey guys, the reason we lost was because of fatigue. So this is a good opportunity to see if they can really kind of stand up to that on their own 2 feet. Let's take a look at the rosters before we get into both these teams. We have had some roster changes. David, walk through those.
Well, Ping999 brought on Zunder Fury, who is then removed, so
Right.
that's pretty much moot.
Dang.
And for Caller Wanted, they also brought on Aggressor, who is a pretty well-known battle caller from what I understand. He's been on teams in the past. I believe he was Lamp before that. And FBC came on as well, and then he was also removed. So, unfortunately, 2 of the 4 people that were removed for things we won't really get into right now
And these first 2 teams.
were on these first two teams. So, FBC, I was going to pick you, and now you're gone. So, thank you for that.
Yeah, now here's the interesting thing too. You said Aggressor is a well-known battle caller.
Yeah, from
Coming
what I
into
understand-
Caller Wanted. So they might have got their caller that they wanted.
From what I understand, he has been calling a lot more recently in Clan Wars and whatnot, and did recently lead the the team that won the Clan tournament overall. I believe he was the one that called that, from what I've been told. So they perhaps now caller obtained.
Caller obtained? Question mark. Well, we'll see if they change the name, or we'll see if it even works out for them, because we are ready to get into the first battle, ladies and gentlemen. On to Ruinberg. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For Caller Wanted, we have 2 IS-7s, Batchat, an Object 907, a WE-100, and 2 T-54s. 4 Ping999, an FE-215B, an Object 260, 2 E5s, a C-22, an E-50, and a T-55A.
All right, then we do see Aggressor there in that batch chat, so he is being implemented. Now, David, that's something we see pretty often, is right when someone makes a change, right when teams do a roster switch, that they play them the next day or in those next match sets? Or do we usually see kind of like a wait-in period when they kind of get used to how the team plays? And
It really depends on
slowly
the
goes
team.
in?
You know, if you see a roster change on a team like Noble, often it's kind of one of their subs that has been removed in favor of somebody else. So you usually don't see them hit the battlefield too quickly.
Sure.
But, that also depends. It depends on who is brought on. And in this case, for Caller Wanted, it's I would have expected both of their picks to be playing very quickly.
All right. And now, kind of before we get into this, talking about last season, we were briefly talking about it before the show started. When Eclipse got picked up, not the team Eclipse, but the player Eclipse, and when he was played, that was a huge change for the team. And so a lot of these switch ups in the rosters really can sway a team's victories, morale, in a huge way. It's not a small change.
Definitely not. Tontanakis, full retreat.
He's out.
He's not spotted, so he's actually able to get away with that. That is the power of these bushes along this line here. Lemming Rush wasn't able to spot him through all that foliage. Permablue starting to take over the southeastern corner. Ping completely abandoning the zero line meta, essentially, that a lot of teams have played, perhaps trying to coax Caller Wanted into coming directly into the Delta Village here. Now, this is where things get interesting, because Ping's positions, with a very few exceptions, are basically made to hold the Delta Village in the event that Color Wanted attempts to push through. Some of these positions I would consider bait positions. Aldebaran's kind of a bait position, or he's just dead. I'm not entirely sure. But as long as they stay in these positions and Color Wanted comes after him, they could defend it. But there's no real reason for that, as Color Wanted can get on cap, and now Ping has to play their hand and cross across Aggressor and Delph in order to get to this capital.
There we go.
Is going down quickly.
A lot of damage there going through onto Sheep in that object. 260, 354. One more shot. He's going to be going down. The shot there bounces, but Aggressor is going to be the one to pick that one up from the F row there, right in the center. He still hasn't really left the town. Now Fluky taking some more damage in response. 20 seconds on the clock. Color Wanted doing a great job putting on that cap pressure. It's going to get the Ping to now push out and kind of reveal themselves. We'll see how well Color Wanted can pick up Mufasa. Shimbo getting lit up. 968 points there in that E5, dropping him just barely above health. 4 seconds on the clock. Ping needs to go around and get a reset right now, and it's going to be all to pick that one up, but it might not be enough. Mufasa is on the reload. 1 second, down to 0. He gets the shot just in time, resetting it back to 45 seconds. Color Wanted staying in this, but Tot taking down Delta. 1-for-1 now, exchange for both these teams. 6v6. Permablue now taking damage as he moves in that T-54, pushing to the Delta Village. Shimbo on the backhand. Aggressor finding Tot again. That's 2 kills there. And now Taco and that 55A going head-to-head with that Batchat. Who is going to go out on top? Taco Soldier getting extremely low. Aggressor, though, is one more shot. Taco's going to pick him up there. A fantastic job. And meanwhile, over the Delta Village, the battle has continued here. Permablue dropping extremely low, having to back out there himself in that T-54. Mufasa will be going down here. DRS, once he's on reload, no, Lemming Rush is going to shut him down before that happens. Picking up a kill, and Magenta Panda now looks like he's in trouble. Ping actually swaying this back in their victory. They are down in HP, about 1,000. But if they can continue finding these little pickups here, they might be able to claw their way back. Magenta Panda is one more shot away. Shimbo and all now running from the Delta Village. Blue Mini is going to cut him off. David in that IS-7. Your first tier 10 tank picking up Shimbo in that E5. Taco Soldier finds Blue Mini as he runs all the way around. And taking down Magenta. Ping is now taking the lead as far as tanks, but the HP still in favor of Color Wanted. DRS and Lemming are a lot more healthy than the three remaining members of Ping. Taco Soldier, one more shot as well as Ald will be going down. It looks like Color Wanted might have this here, as 2 well shots will make it a 2v1 almost instantly.
Rush needs to choose which one of these one-shot tanks he wants to take down, as he's bleeding valuable HP here and throwing away a lot of the great work that DRS has made. There goes one more shot on Aldebaran. Will bring this back into a realm that these two can close out, as Color Wanted struggling to bring this match into the victory column.
DRS missing a shot as well as Lemming again. The other shot from Lemming missing too. Ald staying alive, doing a great job staying behind the wreck, but DRS is going to pick him up, and now it is Fluky in the 5B missing the shot onto Lemming. If he would have picked that up, that would have made it a 1v1, and he would have had the HP lead there by about 200, but he missed his shot. Color Wanted now going more aggressively, putting on that cap pressure. The second shot there missing for Fluky. DRS having to be careful. Lemming going to respond. His shot missing too. Back and forth. A nice shot there. Fluky does take out Lemming, but DRS took a nice chunk out of that 5B. It is a 1v1 now, ladies and gentlemen. Color Wanted versus Ping999. Fluky versus DRS. An IS-7 versus a 5B. David, who are you going to give it to? Before I ask, it's going over to Color Wanted, picking up that first victory. Congratulations there, getting down to that 1v1 right at the end. Oh man, what an amazing battle. Hey, first one to start out the match, guys. Welcome to Season 2. Welcome to Tier 10 Tanks.
So I saw 2 things there, and I'm going to put them out there, and then we can double check to see if they are true in the statistics.
Let's go.
I saw DRS putting a huge portion of the team on his shoulders there in Delta Village, bringing that back out. Why he had so many hit points, I'm not sure. Maybe he was the one that was slow to the battle and then had the hit points to make it work. So I'll have to judge on that
we watch
further
replays.
review. But either way, great their job there. But
second,
Aggressor. If it weren't for Aggressor, that match was over. He took down an E50 in a 2-on-1, if I remember correctly. So let's go to stats real quickly.
Let's check it out.
Let's see the actual numbers here. Well, first off, let's focus on Ping. Fluky, the 2-1B that you saw there, wow, 20 shots, 18 hits, 13 penetrations for 4,700.
Holy snap.
And that is a boatload. Sheep got ruined by that trap that was set. And here we go for Color Wanted. 3188 out of DRS, 2873 out of Aggressor. So he got 2 clips in on the bat shot, one of which was under direct contest there. Blue Mini, Delph got his clip out, 5 shots, 4 hits,
all over
4 damage. Though most of those were on those 2 mediums that I believe pushed. But either way, those two, Aggressor and DRS, did the vast majority of the work. And it is a team game.
Yes.
But in that instance,
There are opportunities.
in that instance, near the end, it wasn't so much a team game as
Right.
DRS coming in the clutch big time.
Well, that's to say, even though certainly this game is a team game, it really does come out team cohesion, where you can set traps, coordination. But there also are events where that can happen, where two players can shine and really carry a team out of what might have been a loss.
It's a tricky shot to hit that 215B.
Really?
It's not easy. I mean, you can penetrate it, and it is a somewhat reliable penetration from what he could see at that point in time. But the 215 is really trolly, and if it's wiggling its turret around like that,
not
it
easy.
can bounce. So
well done.
I'd love to see his replay and see exactly how he lined that up.
Well done for Caller indeed. Now they're up 1-0. We're switching sides. Down to Ruinberg we go. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for takes.
For Caller Wanted, we have 2215B, Sanaya 7, a 260, 2 bad shots, and an M40, M43 for Ping at 215B. An IS-7, 2 E5s, 2 T-22s, and an RU-251. Both teams this time abandoning their double nines in favor of 8s. Which is strange for them to both do it at the exact same time. But one of them will be DRS, and the M40, M43. We'll see if he can deliver that same kind of punch that he did last time. And if he's able to do it in the M40, wow, that's going to be a crazy thing to see, because the M40, if that has an impact on the fight in a big way, a real big way, not just kind of splashing somebody who's camping.
Oh my gosh.
It will be something to see.
Woo!
Lemming Rush, we saw them do this last time, and it actually worked as they caught a 215B
Did they
on the
send
other
it?
side of this rock.
Did they send a bad shot there last time?
Yes.
Gotcha. They sent the bad shot there. It was a bad shot. I thought it was I thought it was an auto. I guess they
They did send a bad shot in there, and 215B came up to that window to try and contest.
Right.
Another tank came to save Lemming Rush in that exact position.
Deleted him. Now being spotted out there by Taunt, running through that IS-7. They know where he's at. And it looks like he actually might give up that position. Yeah, he's just going to run on out. There are those windows that they could have been shot by, so he's just going to do a little proxy spotting there as the members of Ping setting out Fluky, Shimbo, and Mufasa. 2 E5s and 5B.
This is tricky. Tauntanakis is pretty close to the window there, and that actually looks like a kind of shot that you would think an RD probably couldn't hit. But the M40, M43, if it gets to that window, and it can get through that window, or at least splash on the outside, it can do a lot to Tauntanakis.
Really?
And he is lit constantly by Lemming Rush.
All right.
And that is exactly what this bad shot is here for, is to troll them, cause problems, keep things lit for DRS's M40.
Woo!
One shot out
Onto
there, and it
Shimbo.
connects with Shimbo. Good Lord, that was a lot of damage.
A lot of damage there going into that E5 already for Ping. And the longer they sit here, possibly the longer that artillery is going to do work to them. They need to find a way to break whatever Caller Wanted is doing. And now David, over in the north here, we do have a bat chat and a T-22. The T-22 is spotted. That is driven by Alden. He's already taken some shots here in the north. Sending that scout up there is that, obviously the rest of their team is going for Ping to this, southeastern cap. Why would you send the T-22 all the way up there to not, and not help out the rest of the team?
Two reasons. They're trying to get a backdoor on Blue Mini and possibly take him out, which will free up the north. But also, they're trying to find a path to the M40, M43. However, I believe it's kind of a bad decision in this instance. It's worth checking to see if you can do it, but expecting Caller Wanted not to have a tank there as a safety net, I think is kind of an unreasonable expectation. An aggressor is there, an aggressor in a bad shot. It's clearly going to shut down a T-22 with a little bit of support from somebody else to make sure that you can finish that clip. So now Ping999 is going to have to readjust and find exactly which vector they want to take to try and break this defense. But they've let things stagnate long enough to where Caller Wanted has every bit of territory that they need and as much as they could possibly want. From here, the only next advantage they could have is that they held all the way down the 6th line, but that's not necessarily an improvement considering they have the M40, M43. So they have K0, they have a 7, and they have the Delta Village. It's not much else they really need to worry about.
Wow, Fluky taking a little bit of damage there. Seems like Caller Wanted to have a very solid defense setup. They're sending Mufasa around the corner to take some shots. He's going to get lit up from Delta as well. 400 going to Lemming, 700 into Mufasa there. Lemming still has 4 shots in that bat chat. Fluky has joined Taunt. We did have a shot going out there from DRS. Didn't know if it connected on anyone. Didn't quite pay attention there. But David, kind of talking about bringing artillery, right? It's when you take those shots, you are effectively a tank down, and that's would be a best case opportunity for Ping to go ahead and push. If it gets to the system, like you said, where they're stalled out, they're already kind of locked in place, it doesn't come easy as that, because it's like, yes, he shot, but if we poke out, we're all low, we might take some damage, and it's gonna be. I mean, how would you break what Caller Wanted is doing?
Magenta Panda is the only way they can really break free from this, but in order to be able to even get there, they have to first take out Lemming Rush. So Taco Soldier can potentially sneak in and get him at this point in time. With how low that he is, and Taco Soldier is fairly full health, or is actually full health in an RU-251. So as long as he can find the right angle through those bushes and the little buildings down there, he could take out Lemming Rush, which would open up a lot of these options. But these are things that are not obvious, and they're very difficult to see. Magenta Panda will get cross shots on Taco. Taco could very easily go down just trying to get the shot.
Gotcha.
So it's an awkward situation for Ping. And really, the best solution to this would have never been caught in this position to begin with. I would say that you're much better off probably running a hard southeast strategy in this situation.
Okay.
Or maybe a hard A-B strategy, or directly across the F into Delta Village. But you want to blitz common areas to where the M40 can only fire once in an altercation, and then soak up all that map control for them during the period of time that already is down. And that's because while it is loaded, it's vicious. But as soon as it fires, it's irrelevant. So you have to be able to make up for that. Basically, play a much faster game. But Lemming Rush goes down to Mufasa as he sneaks around, but he will pay heavily for that pickup.
There it is, Mufasa, 1,200 points of damage, one more shot, he's gonna go down, Death lining it up, looks like he might be able to take it. Let's see, no, the shot bounces, Perma there is there to pick it up though. So that is a 1-for-1 exchange, and E5 going down for a bat chat. Now with Lemming Rush down, David, with that kind of pressure alleviated from that specific spot, so Fluky and Taunt, obviously, I guess there are still spotted with Blue Mini there taking damage. Does that really alleviate much from Caller Wanted, or not at all?
It's... Caller Wanted got mostly what they wanted out of it. Obviously, having that bat chat alive would be very, very helpful, but Blue Mini can still spot the 2 tier 10s that are there. So they are pretty much in control, and they managed to burn roughly 6 minutes off of Ping999's strategy, which is pretty much worth a tier 10. Very, very detailed case to explain why it might not be. But if we're going to simplify it, I would trade a tier 10 for 6 minute delay and as much HP as they have soaked off of Ping for this any day of the week. 4,000 HP.
And it looks like, so this is Ping's kind of last-ditch effort, sending 2 T-22s to the north, either to try to apply pressure there, where Aggressor is there waiting in his bat chat. A minute and 50 seconds on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. Once that timer goes out, if Ping has not capped any of the bases or taken down anyone, they are going to lose this one with Blue Mini picking up Fluky. It looks like they are going to lose this one indeed. DRS taking a shot there. I believe that was just connected on a taunt for over 500 points of damage there. Blue Mini might be going down. Meanwhile, the T-22s heading up against Aggressor, and DRS is going to be Aggressor's job to defend that artillery for Caller Wanted. Taunt taking DRS down with 1 shot. And now the 2 T-22s now going very aggressive on Aggressor. Delph finding Taunt in that IS-7. Blue Mini sitting back. He knows one more shot is going to end him. Perma Blue taking some shots there, trying to help out. Blue Mini taking down Alden, that T-22. Now Taunt going head-to-head with Delph. Magenta Panda finds Shimbo. Aggressor picks up Sheep. It is now just Taunt alive for Ping999. Man, that slow but sure picking down of the HP of Ping999 led to Caller Wanted's victory right there. That is another one. 2-0 now against Ping, starting out onto Ruinberg. Like you said, just it's a great thing to keep in mind, that clock, because so often you pay attention to where all the tanks are, and like, oh man, if this goes on, anything can happen. But you got to keep in mind that the aggressors are going against the clock, and if that goes down, which was at 2 minutes, you're like, yeah. Like you have a huge gap to now with all your HP that you've just lost to try to pick that up. So fantastic job controlling that.
Once
for
you've lost that amount of hit points, trying to initiate an offense is pretty impossible on its own, because you're going to pay even more before you get there. Then you're going to start losing tanks, and it becomes an insurmountable challenge where there's too many hit points and too many guns for you to blast your way through.
Can't do it.
Let alone in the amount of time that you need. So it actually switches. Well, you need more time on offense no matter what, but you start needing that time more when you get in that situation, because you now need time. So you're down on the hit points.
Right.
The more hit points you have, potentially the less time you need. The less hit points you have, the absolute more time you need, because you need to soak some off of them without taking any in return.
Right.
And that takes a lot of time. So in this instance, not a whole lot to really cover in statistics. Tontanakis leading for Ping with about 2,000 in his IS-7. Everybody else below 1,500. For Caller Wanted, Delph at 2,500, Aggressor at 2,000, and DRS, Perma Blue, Magenta, Lemming all below that. But Blue Mini taking the first place here with his IS-7, working that 5-6 line pretty well, all match long, for 3,600 damage and 3 kills.
Whew! Is that why it was your first tank? It's just so good.
Well, especially back then, it was really good, but it is returning back to where its armor is in a nice place. I enjoy playing it. So, Yes, that is why it was my first tank and why I enjoyed it so much. It's kind of a jack of all trades, or at least at the time that's what it was. Completely.
Gotcha.
It wasn't the heaviest. It didn't have the biggest gun.
So it's kind of mobile.
It kind of had mobility and a good amount of armor if you knew how to use it, and the gun was pretty good.
Right.
So it wasn't as much of a specialist as everything else.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Caller Wanted is up 2-0 against Ping. Can they continue it, or can Ping get some victories on the board? Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For Caller Wanted, 2 IS-7s, an Object 260, a Batchat, an Object 140, an Object 907, and a T-54 Lightweight. For Ping, a 215B, a 260, 2 E5s, a T-22, an E50, and a T-55A. Again, back with 2 Tier 9s for Ping and 1 Tier 8 for Caller Wanted. Just going to be Lemming Rush working that T-54 Lightweight.
Now, bringing those, just explaining a little more in depth. If you decide to bring 1 Tier 8, that means you're bringing an extra Tier 10. If you bring 2 Tier 9s, that means you only have 5 Tier 10s.
So this spot that Aggressor is using, he's now used it twice. And he comes in here and he knocks down this tree to give him a little bit more camo, and he can lock down a good portion of the F-Road itself. I bet you if we lock onto him, he has optics on the Batchat instead of vents, which is, vents would be more of a brawler kind of setup. But they're not necessary, and the optics will get him probably, knowing players of this caliber and kind of how people work, probably the exact amount of meters that he expects to get in order to spot certain tanks in the Delta Village. So, why am I bringing this up? While it is a great play and a good spot to go to, any team that looks for that down tree will know there's a Batchat behind it, and they could blind fire it. Now, there is a chance the Caller Wanted can set up a counter meta based on that counter meta, but we can get into that whole crazy rock, paper, scissors mental game all day.
Knock over a tree, don't go there.
For now, it's certainly valuable and it's certainly working. Perhaps I'd be curious how well it works without knocking the tree down. If it does, it'll probably be a place that a lot of people start blind firing in order to counter it out. It's one of those things you can use by deduction. You get spotted somewhere in Delta Village, and then your whole team turns and blind fires that bush.
Like, this is the only place we could probably be spotted right now.
Probably not the only one, but it's a good guess, right? So
Right.
that could definitely backfire against Aggressor. But he knows his opponent right now, and it is working out quite well. T-55 Taco Soldier, and another tank with him that appears to be an Object 260, so that would be Sheep, going to push through the northern part of Ruinberg and try to pick up where Aggressor was last time. Aggressor's going to slip away, and Lemming Rush is going to, very trickily, he's actually getting stuck here. Lemming Rush has to cross the lane of fire that both Taco and Sheep can fire, so it's up to either the rest of the team to make his sacrifice worth it, or Ping's just going to let him right out of there, not holding either line. And he's going to have the perfect amount of time to slip right past the church, and he spots Sheep as well, so he gets intel on his way out.
Wow.
And Taco Soldier can get some shots as he goes down this road, but it's not going to be enough. Lemming Rush is going to escape from this alive, and there's probably going to be a big fight going on over here near the cap, as there are only 5 seconds left right now.
Fluky getting lit up, 1,700 points of damage there in that 5B. Caller Wanted some fantastic focus fire, down to 2 seconds. Ping has to take a shot. It's going to be Mufasa, who does get that reset onto Perma Blue. Blue Mini looks like he take a little bit of damage as well, resetting it again. But as Ald coming out to try to get those resets, has put himself in a tricky predicament here. 361 points. Looks like he might have gotten tracked there. Him and Delph going head to head, but now the Caller Wanted turning their turrets, taking down that T-22 medium, and that is 2 tanks now fallen for Ping. Not a single one for Caller Wanted has been going down here. Shimbo now taking, just barely dodging a shot. DRS and Sheep kind of going head to head around the corner there. The two Object 260s battling it out. Perma Blue taking more damage on Cap. Caller Wanted still applying that cap pressure, making sure Ping can't just kind of focus on anyone that they can. They do need to still worry about that Aggressor. Now Magenta Panda being very aggressive, moving in. DRS might be going down here to Sheep. One more shot, and that is going to do it. Finally, the first tank there falling for Caller Wanted. Meanwhile, in the Delta Village, all hell is broken loose. Aggressor taking damage there, pushing way into Delta to try to just cause chaos onto Ping. Mufasa taking over 1,000 points. Aggressor taking 1,100. One more shot, and he's going to be going down. Looks like Ton is looking for that shot. He gets deleted by Aggressor before he takes it, which is going to keep him alive. Delph taking Mufasa down. That E5, they're dropping. Taco Soldier is healthy in that T-55. He's coming behind, trying to find maybe Blue Mini there in that I-7. The shot, 506 points of damage there, goes into Taco. Fluky finds Aggressor. Delph picks up Fluky there. That 5B going down. 3 tanks remaining for Ping against the 5 for Caller Wanted. Taco Soldier finds Blue Mini, finally dropping that I-7. Lemming Rush, though, applying covering fire from the T-54 way off in the side in that J6 area. Meanwhile, with Sheep and Taco Soldier, the only ones that remain, they are on the run. They are on defense. technically they could. No, they can't sell us one now. Caller Wanted just has too much damage there. Purple Blue taking down Taco, leaving just Sheep there, trying to deal with Lemming Rush. His shots missing. Both shots from Magenta and Delve actually not connecting there. I mean, they connect on a Sheep, but they bounce. Finally, 667 points of damage. Over 1,000 there. He looks like he might have been set on fire as well, and Lemming's going to pick that one up. Caller Wanted with 3 victories against Ping here on our first match of the night. On to Ruinberg. Now, let's talk about that little mishmash that happened in the city where 2 members of Ping did not miss the member of Caller Wanted. If they would have picked up, I can't remember who that was, not Taco. Taco Soldier, I think, was one of the T-22s that was driving along. If they would have picked up that member for Caller in the city, would that have, how the rest of the fight went, would that have really swayed anything, or would that just been a nice pickup for him?
You're talking about the 54 lightweight that escaped Lemming
Yes.
Rush, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it could have potentially swung things quite a bit there. Lemming Rush, he didn't get a whole lot of damage in, 13-18, but he did secure 1 kill, which could have been what imbalanced a lot of that fight. But his presence, even though he may not have done a lot of damage.
Sure.
Granted, 1,300, considering he didn't do any in the beginning and showed up to that fight
At
late.
the end.
1,300 is a pretty good addition. So he was keeping people honest and scared. As they had to be shot at from both directions.
Gotcha.
You notice most of Caller Wanted was trying to move north through the Delta Village.
Yes.
Which would cause their cover, Ping's cover, if they were to swing into the south, to be sandwiched between Lemming Rush and everybody else. Aggressor made some pretty bold moves there. One looked like he was trying to intro for the team or solo somebody and dump his clip, but he was out there alone. He took a lot more damage, and I'm not sure if that was intended, if he overplayed or his team didn't back him up as quickly as possible. But either way, he made a number of good plays, sacrificed himself in order to start another one off, which got a pick. We can go back and forth and watch that whole replay over again and show. As Caller Wanted picked tanks off one by one, very deliberately, and who they were going for and how they were going to do it.
Focus fire being super important in this game. We kind of talked about, if you have 3 tanks versus 3 tanks, anything in stats?
Yep. Delth with 3442. Magenta Panda with 3,000, Blue Mini with 2,500, Aggressor with 1,800, 1,500 and below for everybody else there. And then for Ping, 2,802 for Fluky and 2,100 for Sheep.
Mufasa only doing 901 points of damage. He is on my fantasy. He was actually #1 pick. So my fantasy not looking super good right now. Hopefully they can carry this one out. Let's see, we're, ladies and gentlemen, ready for the next battle. Caller Wanted up 3-0 against Ping. Can they make it 4-0, or will Ping win one before we move on to the next map? Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For Caller Wanted, we have 2 215Bs, an IS-7, a 260, 2 batch shots, and an M40, M43 again. For Ping, 2 AMX 50Bs, 2 IS-7s, a 140, a T-22, and an RU-251. That, to me, signals
North?
some presence in the north, probably the 50Bs coming in the south. Wouldn't surprise me if they tried to emulate exactly how Eclipse ran that strategy, because it was a great one.
Sure.
Or if they just try and jam all those tanks into one place. But I would suggest the split as being the better of the 2 options. They could adjust it a little bit just so it's not exactly cookie cutter, so that in the event that Caller Wanted recognizes it quickly, they don't think like I did and immediately know what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
So if you run that kind of strategy and throw a little curveball in it, it could be valuable. But in this moment, so far, we're seeing a T-22 spotted to the north. Caller Wanted knows that now. They know they haven't spotted the 50Bs. Lemming Rush and his Bat Chat will very likely see them if they get close enough. However, he is in the danger zone, as Jay Smooth would put it. Okay, never mind, I take it back. He didn't go all the way down into the pit. And that is good for him, because if he gets trapped down there, if those 50Bs show up, he'll just evaporate immediately.
Shot from Shimbo there, missing there.
But instead, he's keeping Shimbo lit. And all these tanks are pretty well positioned for Caller Wanted to stop anything that Ping wants to do here.
Wow.
Unless Ping wants to take K0 in force. If they do that, they'll be wide open. But Lemming Rush taking way too much damage in this position could be giving up the first win for Ping just in this position alone, as he's taking a lot of fire from just the combined forces and all the different angles that Ping999 is able to find here. Taco Soldier and Sheep,
my
it looks
gosh,
like, were the ones that got the most. Taunted Noctis and Fluky and the 50Bs are going to rotate away and perhaps, well, very likely, reassert themselves down the A line. Now, they've bled enough time here to where Caller Wanted is actually very vulnerable to this unless they counter push in the south at some point in time or just get a great shot from DRS on those 50Bs on the way in. Because last time Ping went into the A line against Aggressor, Aggressor shut down 2 mediums pretty well. Not by himself, he had support, but he was clipping and he just drove around the buildings, dragged him out long enough until he reloaded, and then took him out. So that is not necessarily a flank position you want to be pushing on, but they do have the number of tanks they would need to get there and kill Aggressor. And the only way Color wanted to know this is coming is just too much has happened, or sorry, too much time has passed. With so little happening.
Right, right.
And these two IS-7s are relatively lonely. Blue Mini is already pushing up somewhat aggressively into the southeast, so it looks like Color wanted to start to pick up on this, but Perma Blue is available. Aggressor's in the open. Magenta Panda and Delth are not supporting him well enough, and here comes Ping999 across the A-line.
Also in the meanwhile, and on the south, Color wanted taking down Sheep in that I-7. Shimbo having to run as well. Let's see if that was going to be enough to counter what Ping is doing up in the north. Reaper coming all the way through. They have now been spotted. Color wanted knows what's going on. They're sending Perma on the way back. 30 seconds, though, is being applied onto that cap pressure. Aggressor is on the run. Reaper and all do not want him to escape. They're going to focus as much as they possibly can on him, dropping them down. DRS taking actually a lot of damage, getting dropped to 99 points of health, and Ald is going to finish off that artillery there. DRS falling for Color Wanted. Meanwhile, 18 seconds on the clock. Reaper and all doing a fantastic job. Looks like they might be able to just kind of bully Color Wanted away. Meanwhile, Blue Mini and Shimbo kind of going head-to-head here. This looks like Ping999 might get it. It's going to be up to Aggressor to find a shot here. 6 seconds on the clock. The bat check going through. He lines it up. The first shot misses. Now down to 1. Perma will not be able to make it in time. The second shot finally does connect, dropping it back up to 30 seconds. Blue Mini finds Shimbo finally. Fluky taking down Aggressor, but it looks like it might have been enough to stall the game to where Color Wanted should be able to find another reset reliably. Perma Blue taking too much damage there than I-7. Ald and Reaper should be able to take him out. Here comes Delth around the corner. The shot from Delth actually misses. Perma Blue going down from that object. 1:45 seconds on the clock. Delth does connect finally onto Taunt. Going back up. There are so many cap points on a Taco Soldier in the back. Magenta Panda has to find him. There it is on a Fluky. 13 seconds now. Delth getting lit up. 400 points of damage. One more shot. Fluky taking down Delth. He falls. Now 8 seconds. 7 on the clock. Color Wanted with Magenta is their only hope. Blue Mini is coming around the side, but a bad chat from the back might be able to save him. Magenta Panda finds a shot onto Fluky, but all their points are onto Taco Soldier. One more, and Fluky's going down. Lemming Rush picking that one up, and the savior of this game might just be Lemming Rush. He is one more shot away. If Taco can delete him, he might be able to pick this one up. Lemming shot onto Taco, secures it, resets the cap completely, and Color Wanted have now just bought themselves a minute and a half to clean up the 3 remaining members of Ping999. 3 minutes and 18 seconds on the clock. Blue Mini finds Ald. Reaper one more shot away. Magenta Panda looks like he's going to take him down in that 5B. Taco Soldier knows that the cap is worthless. He is going for the bat chat here. 3 minutes on the clock. Blue Mini getting ready to join him. Magenta coming around the corner, finding this object 140, and no, taking it out. Magenta Panda finally picks it up, but Taco Soldier does find Lemming Rush. It is now a 2v1. Taco Soldier and that RU-251 on the run. Oh, there's a lot of ones, runs, a lot of rhyming going on there. 2 minutes and 50 seconds there, but Color Wanted pulling out a victory from Ping that looked hopeless for a second. Now Magenta and Blue Mini now just need to chase down Taco. They are on defense. They can just buy as much time as possible. They do not need to do anything. Not sure that there anything is Taco can do here.
Not really. So if we get into theory crafting here, now I'm just going to preface this with, it's virtually impossible.
Should not happen.
Especially after what's happened so far, where Color Wanted digging themselves out of that hole that
what a
they started getting themselves
play.
into. I don't think Ping's going to be able to pull it out. Now, if Taco were somehow able to take out Blue Mini, then he would be in a relatively equal reload race with Magenta Panda, who has more hit points and more damage. So, somebody...
That's a big
He's going to have to, like, tag some other members into this battle, or, you know... transform into another tank to stand a chance here, because it's pretty much over.
Would that be a crazy rule if you're able to just be like, hey, next battle we're not going to have our 7, we'll have 5, and I want to put 2 tanks into this battle right now.
And where you're doing stage deployments.
Yeah,
We're going to start out with 4.
Going to start out with 4, see how it goes.
3. That's kind of like a weird hybrid FPS RTS thing.
Oh, my God, something.
Interesting idea,
Wargaming, you listening to this?
Just invented a whole new genre.
Here we go.
All right, so Color Wanted can pretty much just set up on defense. I mean, they are on defense, but all they have to do is set up in Delta Village and wait. There's no way Taco Soldier can cap them out before they can get there and stop them. They will be exposed at some point. Taco did spot Blue Mini. Yeah. Blue Mini now spotted in return. Everybody spotted. And Taco takes his first shot from Magenta Panda, but very unlikely to be his last.
There we go here. Magenta now going head-to-head. The first shot there on Taco. Magenta's is going to go for the ram to finish it off in that 5B, taking down the RU-251. And that is going to be Color Wanted, making it 4-0 against Ping999 here on our first match of the night. I do want to talk about that hole that they just dug themselves out of. Because that was insane. I mean, we're like, oh, Ping has got this. It got down to like 3 seconds. One member, I don't know if it was Aggressor. I don't know who it was from Color Wanted who got the shot, then died for it, which bought enough time for the second member to come, take the shot, die for it, and they just kept doing that until they picked up the victory.
Absolutely. We can go to statistics, and that will
it.
show us the exact numbers of who did it. But we all know,
go see
so
who did it.
Aggressor was the first resets. Got 2.
Yeah.
3 shots, missed 1, hit 2. Good enough. 67 reset points, brought that back into a winnable area. Then it was Delph came in, got another 44 defense points with his 2-1-5B. And from there, it just kept going. Look at all the defense points on this team overall.
Who's in the bad chat?
We have 24 from Magenta Panda. Lemming Rush with 98. He was the hero at
That
the
was
end
it. That was it. Yes,
with the
Lemming Rush.
flank shots. 98 is the big reset that happened there. And let's see, we already covered Delph, Aggressor, Blue Mini. Probably one of the only, actually, bottom 3 guys didn't get any reset points. They didn't need to. They were in standoff positions trying to farm damage in order to bring everybody back. But Magenta Panda with nearly 4,000, Lemming Rush with 2,500. Just so much clutch play in that moment there.
Absolutely.
And a lot of fantasy points getting rained on people tonight. Pretty much, if you picked anybody from Color Wanted that match, they paid out.
Which I picked one. I also picked a member from Ping. And fortunately, not going super well for them tonight, so my fantasy points are going down. But hey, it's an early night. Anything can happen. Color Wanted just won 4. Ping could just come back and win 4. We do not know. One thing at the end there, it was the RU251. I think it was Taco for Ping against Lemming in the bat jet. Lemming was 1 shot away. He also only had 1 shot in the autoloader before he had to go on a really long reload. So it came down to him hitting that shot. If you're Taco, who just kind of played safe, he had like his member to kind of sit behind. If you knew that tank, he was spotted, Lemming was spotted, if he's low enough, do you pop out, take the shot, and try to kill him, or do you do what he did and just kind of stay safe? But that allowed Lemming to find a good shot and finally get the reset.
He was babysitting the cap in order to try and bring it out, because if he didn't cap, they were going to lose. So he made the right play.
Gotcha.
Perhaps I didn't get a good angle on it to really see the exact altercation between those two. So I don't know if he could see exactly Lemming Rush's angle on him, if he was wiggling and Lemming hit the shot anyways. But I'd be very curious to see that from somebody's replay in the future.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that match coming down to so many single moments to then keep it going, but a fantastic job for Color Wanted pulling that out. Now we're going into Sand River. Color Wanted, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, did take a timeout. They do just need 1 more victory to pick this one up. A fantastic time too, knowing the map you're going into, to create a strategy, say this is what we're going to be doing, and let's clean this one out 5-0 against Ping. Now going to Sand River, we talked about how this is such a defensive map. Then we saw Noble last week on Thursday do a chaos on offense. They took the victory. What was some of the things that you saw they did there right, or was it just a crazy mix of,
Well, so the number one thing that Noble did well on Sand River was they brought in artillery in order to start digging out those perfect defensive positions on the defensive side. That caused Eclipse to over-respond, I believe. And they brought a lot of their tanks out of that to try and create a flank. And they successfully hit that flank, but they spent 2 or 3 tanks to pick up 1 artillery. In the meantime, lost a lot of ground and a lot of HP in the process. So I think while Noble was somewhat prepared for it, I think Eclipse kind of made some mistakes that opened up that as a possibility. But we're starting off here with Color Wanted on defense. And they're only 1 away. So it makes a lot of sense why they take a timeout.
Brutal.
They're just going to sit there, take a breath, discuss exactly how they're going to hold this defense and close out this entire set 5-0.
Right.
That's exactly when I would take a timeout. I think most people would probably take a timeout here, unless they're just not going to take one at all.
Sure. I mean, I guess if you're on some crazy, I mean, yeah, I guess it does come down because they're on a hot streak. So there's like, oh, we don't want to cool them off, but they are going into defense on a map that's super heavy defense. But like, yeah, guys, let's do it. Easy peasy.
Change map on a defensive strategy. It's a good thing to take a moment and talk about it.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if that timeout worked out for Color Wanted, who needs 1 more victory to close it out 5-0 against Ping, or will Ping be able to pick up a victory and continue with this match? Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For Color Wanted, we have 2 E5s, a Bat Shat, a 907, a T22, and 2 T54s. For Ping, 2 Bat Shats, 2 907s, a T22, and 2 T30s.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let's talk about
That's a pretty great tier 9.
All right.
Not as good as it used to be. It used to actually be a tier 10 heavy tank. Long ago, before the E5 was added into the game.
Okay.
Right after, I believe, the 50B. And that? Well, whatever. We're not going to get into the whole history. Anyways, it's got a pretty great cannon on it. It's got a full turret. The turret is somewhat reliable as long as you don't turn it at all. Not entirely sure
Okay.
at tier 10. It might be able to penetrate the face of it, as there are some weird rounded places that heat may go through with a high enough amount of pen. But either way, they've got good depression. They're relatively slow, but for a tier 9, you get them into the right place and you double tap them with 2, and it's going to be something to be afraid of. For Caller Wanted, anytime I'd see those tanks, I would pretty much consider that line dead. Whatever they're locking down is no longer
Just
available.
like, don't go.
Unless you find so many other tanks that going after those 2 T-30s becomes something really worth doing. In this case, you can kind of see that a little bit, as Ping has now spread out very far in the north and very far in the south. They have a bat shat back at B or D2, but if it weren't for that, it might not be a bad idea just to hard rush these 2 T-30s. They will be open to some of the other angles, but that's one of the only situations, and I'm grasping here, but that's one of the only situations in which rushing a T-30 might be a good idea.
Okay.
Only if you're going to face them. You just assume they're probably going to get in about 1,800 of damage, and you just go.
You share it.
Take it, you make that trade,
Right.
and then you deal with everybody else. But with the situation they're in right now, I would not actually be interested in assaulting these 2 directly. I'd be trying to hold and rotate around and look for an easier pick than 2 very vicious tank destroyers.
All right, here. Those tank destroyers now settling down to the G6 position, kind of locking down that center of the map. Meanwhile, Taco Soldier, as well as 2 object, let's say 907s, running on the way through here. That's an object 907 and an object. Did they bring 2 907s? They did.
Yeah.
Shimbo and Fluky following Taco Soldier here, going follow around. Lemming Rush and Taco now spotting each other there. That T-22 spotting a T-54 now. If Lemming doesn't be careful, he's about to meet the rest of the members. And the 2 T-30s are coming up as well. Lemming and Taco now exchanging some shots. Nothing connecting yet. Taco Soldier does connect for 257. And now the shot coming there just missing from one of those Object 907s. T-30 there, all taking 339 points of damage there.
Shot. Going a slight shot on Lemming Rush.
Oh, really?
Took it, missed. Lemming Rush hit him back in return.
Oh,
so
no.
That could have been quite a bit. But Aldebaran is reloading fairly quickly here, so he will be back in the fight. Taco Soldier taking 389 from those standoff defense positions. And Lemming Rush is far more safe than you would think.
Really, because I was going to say, he's got a tank destroyer and T-30 looking at his back. If he backs up or goes forward, he's probably going to get lit up. But I guess Ping can't push because Call wants to doing a great job surrounding
right
them.
Here are the T-30s, over there are the mediums. Now here's the thing. He has a lot more terrain angle than you would expect, and none of these mediums have enough depression to really fire down at him reliably. In order to go after him, they have to go down this grade to engage him. But, well, Aggressor just moved, but there are mediums in the distance that have great shots in this area.
Meanwhile,
and will ruin it in exchange.
In the back, 2 Batchats finally going for this Northern Cap here, finding Delth. Reaper and Taunt doing some damage there. Delth going extremely low, but Aggressor picks up Reaper. The Batchat coming back in time, which is going to leave Magenta Bandit to come take it down. Taunt, he is set on fire, backing up before he gets over to safety. Delth is going to end him, and that is 2 tanks down for Ping999. Caller Wanted still haven't lost a single one, and that looks like it's going to be the trigger to pull Ping to drive right into Lemming Rush, who is safe no more. Fluky and Taku Shimba all barreling down in his position. One more shot, and that T-54 is going to be going down. There it is. Picks up that victory, but this looks like it's going to be Caller Wanted's in the bag, because that has left Ping really kind of overcommitting to that one position, which is opening up Caller Wanted to kind of set up. Get a nice push here. That T-30 now being led. A lot of damage are going to DRS, or not DRS doing it to Shimbo.
Starting to push in on these guys that have isolated themselves in that area. They are in the low ground, and these 2 will be able to push in very, very safely to pick that up. The only real risk they have is Aldebaran, but once they take down Taco Soldier, Aldebaran will be next unless he's able to escape. If he does escape, it will be Fluky. He has to make a tough decision. Stick around and try and be the hero. Oh, he does pick up Perma Blue, which is going to start opening things up. Blue Mini. DRS actually taking down Perma Blue. Or DRS comes in to help out against Fluky. Mixing up the names there.
Aggressor picking up that victory. Fantastic job. Delth finding Ald, and just Fluky remains there in that Object 907. One more shot. He's going to be going down. Magenta Panda from downtown picking that one up. That is going to be a 5-0 victory there for Caller Wanted against Ping in our first match of the night. Congratulations. I mean, a very, very clear, just domination, well played, getting themselves out of tricky situations, showing great traps. I mean, Color Wanted really proved themselves so far in the season, and only 3 weeks in, we're seeing, I feel like, a big transformation from the first couple of weeks.
Absolutely, there were a number of things there as well. Aggressor pulling out of the northeast and going west to intercept the 2 tanks that were pushed in, and he and Delph and I believe one other tank cleaned up that entire northern area and swung into the south. And that's a very good understanding. I think it's safe to say that Color Wanted may have found their caller.
Oh, that is true. Aggressor comes into the battle. A nice 5-0 for them. This looks like that roster change was going in their favor very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is match number 1 done. Match number 2 coming right up after this.